Bangladesh. A nation swept in grief as Bangladesh mourns the death of former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia, who was a very prominent political figure in the nation's politics. She died at the age of 80 earlier today after prolonged illnesses. And in fact, BNP sources have told NDTV that Khaleda Zia will be buried next to her husband and later President Ziaur Rahman's grave in Dhaka. And Interim Chief Mohammad Yunus has announced a 3-day national mourning. Khaleda Zia was the first woman Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and she had led almost over 8-year-long demonstrations to bring back democracy in Bangladesh during the late 80s. World leaders have reacted to Khaleda Zia's death, with Prime Minister Modi recalling their warm meeting in 2015 while recognizing her contributions to Bangladesh's development. In fact, Bangladesh Chief Mohammad Yunus has said that Bangladesh has lost its greatest guardian, and Sheikh Hasina, her biggest political rival, has also called it a profound loss. Listen in to in fact, this ground report that's been filed by my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who's on ground in Bangladesh, covering that big story for us. Take a look.
This massive crowd and the massive security deployment that you see behind me is at right side where 80-year-old former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, the first woman Prime Minister, Begum Khaleda Zia, breathed her last at about 6 a.m. this morning here in Dhaka. You would see a lot of her supporters of the BNP people remembering her, many emotional as well. This now entire area has been cordoned off, and it is actually out of bounds for people, those who do not have any business in the hospital. Right, I will just first show you the hospital where she was admitted for the last 36 days. There were multiple problems that she was facing, and in the last few days, in the last 4 to 5 days, her condition was only worsening. Her son Tariq Rahman, who has returned after a 17-year exile to Bangladesh just 5 days ago, in fact was in the hospital, and along with his entire family. Yesterday he asked the BNP supporters and others to pray for Begum Khaleda Zia. But in the morning, the situation was entirely different. He was still a short time back, was inside this hospital along with his wife and daughter. Other relatives of Khaleda Zia were also inside, her sister and also her brother. Now, Tariq Rahman has left from the hospital. He has gone to the BNP headquarters at the Neapolitan area. And on the other hand, what we're being told, a team of the BNP senior leaders has gone to meet the chief advisor Mohammad Yunus for the arrangements of the final rites and the burial of Khaleda Zia. In fact, what we have been told is that she would be buried next to her husband, former President General Ziaur Rahman, at the same burial spot, Chandrama Udyan in Dhaka. When all those things will take place, the information is yet to come. But with her passing away, it is clearly an era of politics, of democracy, and the struggle for Bangladesh to remain a democratic country has come to an end. A bipolar Bangladesh where the battle of the two Begums, on one hand Khaleda Zia, on the other Sheikh Hasina. Now with Sheikh Hasina in exile and Khaleda Zia no more, comes to an end. You would see those posters of tribute for Khaleda Zia and a lot of her supporters here right outside Evercare Hospital. This also comes at a time when Bangladesh is heading for a very crucial elections on February 12th. The impact of her death will have a huge footprint in the upcoming election. With Momin, Ankit Tyagi from Dhaka, NDTV.
In fact, this is the first time in the last 45 years or so there will be neither of the two towering ladies in Bangladesh, Khaleda Zia or Sheikh Hasina. And what lies ahead for Bangladesh would be extremely volatile and would be important to watch out for India as well. In fact, Ankit also went to the burial site exactly where the burial of Khaleda Zia will take place tomorrow, and he filed this report. Take a look.
Behind me in heart of Dhaka, Chandrama Udyan, the final resting place of former President of Bangladesh, Ziaur Rahman. husband of Khaleda Zia, who passed away this morning. This is also going to be the final resting place for Khaleda Zia, the former Prime Minister, the first woman Prime Minister of Bangladesh. We've been told that tomorrow the funeral procession will come here, and right next to her husband's grave, she would also be laid to rest. There are a lot of people, supporters of the BNP, those who have already started gathering right at this very spot. Tomorrow this will be jam-packed with massive security arrangements also being made. Just opposite to this is the Parliament of Bangladesh, and Tariq Rahman, the son of Khaleda Zia and Zia Rahman, now of course the undisputed leader of the BNP, the party that they founded, and since 1981, that's after his assassination, his mother Khaleda Zia has been a very important prominent figure of that party. This is the final resting place of one of the most important political dynasty, the heads of those political dynasty, as Bangladesh moves towards an important election. Now with Tariq Rahman as the head of the BNP on February 12th. In Dhaka with Momin Ankityagi.
In fact, it is an end of an era as far as Bangladesh politics is concerned. And now, after Khaleda Zia's death, it will now be Tariq Rahman who will be at the center of steering BNP, or Bangladesh Nationalist Party, ahead of the crucial elections on February 12th. As far as Tariq Rahman is concerned, he's someone who returned after a 17-year-old long exile to Bangladesh, and he's caught between legacy, leadership and the fight for political survival. This report tells you how the stakes are now so high for BNP, for Tariq Rahman and for Bangladesh itself.
With the death of Khaleda Zia, an era ends, and a high-stakes battle for legacy, leadership and survival begins inside the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. For decades, Khaleda Zia was more than a former Prime Minister. She was the emotional core of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, a symbol of resistance, rivalry and relentless opposition to the ruling Awami League. As Bangladesh heads towards crucial elections in February, the BNP stands at a crossroads. All eyes are on her son, Tariq Rahman. Long seen as the heir apparent, Rahman now faces the weight of inheritance, not just of a party, but of a political movement built around his mother's name. For the BNP, Khaleda Zia's death may galvanize supporters, transforming grief into political momentum. But it also removes the party's most unifying figure, the leader who could command loyalty across factions and generations. Rahman, who has just returned from a 17-year exile, may now step out of his mother's shadow and convince voters that the BNP's future is not just nostalgia, but a credible alternative. The pressure is immense, but many polls suggest that the BNP will emerge victorious in the elections, with the student-led NCP likely to face an underwhelming result. There's little time for mourning and no room for missteps. Khaleda Zia's chapter has closed. The question now is whether her legacy becomes a launchpad or a burden for those she leaves behind. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV World.